Flinch is a complicated topic when we talk about Call of Duty's multiplayer. Often unnoticed, it's one of the most defining features of every Call of Duty's multiplayer. The amount of flinch drastically changes the nature of gameplay. Perks that affect flinch also drastically change the nature of gameplay. An example I always give is if you took two identical COD games, so two copies of Black Ops 2. One game has the toughness perk built in to everyone, so everybody has reduced flinch, and the other game has no toughness perk at all, and you have to deal with the default flinch every gunfight. The two games would be drastically different. There would be so many little differences in how people play. Where people would aim, how punished they would be for shooting first or getting shot first, how many people choose to use head glitches and pieces of cover, or, let's just use the dreaded word, camp. Just the overall confidence of a lot of rushers would be completely removed in a version of Black Ops 2 that had permanently high flinch. Flinch is an important topic. It is not something that YouTubers bring up to cause controversy. No, this is a serious topic because it affects the core of Call of Duty, which is the gunplay, the shooting other player aspect of COD. So like we discussed in the Time to Kill video, there's going to be a Black Ops 4 style Time to Kill, but with a much higher emphasis on headshots with no high caliber attachments, at least as we know so far. This is from Exclusive Ace's testing he did when he got to play Black Ops Cold War. So some of the stuff is subject to change, so don't take everything I'm saying here as 110% fact. And I wish I could borrow somebody else's info, but Ace is a friend of mine, so I feel comfortable using his findings in my commentaries because I feel like he wouldn't mind. Ace, if you're watching the video, go ahead and comment whether or not you're okay with me using your stuff, and I will pin the comment regardless of the answer. So Treyarch has confirmed that there's no flinch in Black Ops Cold War. Your screen will shake when you're shot, but your iron sights will not budge. And when we have a longer time to kill, that's great. It's easier to be consistent under fire when your iron sights aren't moving. And then when you go for a headshot and then you take damage, your sights aren't going to flip up above the person's head, meaning you will still be rewarded for landing those headshots. So those are the positive things, and that's what I'm guessing Treyarch is going for, what I just mentioned there. Essentially, you're not going to be punished for getting shot when you are aiming at somebody's head and consistently hitting it. I know, I'm terrifying hardcore players. That's right, consistency is required in core mode. Very scary. But there are negatives to this system as well. First of all, how will flinch affect sniper rifles? Because if there's no flinch in Cold War, and somebody has a rifle that can one-shot me to my upper chest, and we already have seen in the alpha gameplay you can put red dot sights on sniper rifles, and with Gunsmith I imagine people are going to tweak their snipers to be aggressive close-range monsters, especially with those red dots or iron sight configurations. So I gotta be real with you, I'm a little scared of this. In a longer time to kill game, if I enter a close mid-range engagement, within 20 meters, I have an assault rifle, and I land 3 body shots, the person that's aiming at me with a sniper rifle has no visual flinch. I cannot knock that person off target, and they're going to nail me. Now, on console, if the snipers have no aim assist, that'll balance that out a little bit. They don't really have any band-aid fixes, they have to really left stick and right stick dance to make sure their shot lands every time. But it's still going to be very frustrating putting multiple shots into somebody and then just getting hit with a one-shot kill rifle. I know sniping takes skill, but you have to admit that's a little broken. If somebody is choosing to use an AR, they shouldn't be punished for fighting within their effective range. And if snipers start dominating lobbies, I'm going to start abusing head glitches. I'm going to start proning around corners. I'm going to start using concussion grenades. I'm going to drop shot every gunfight because I want them to miss their shot. I will make their life hell as best as I can. Then we add in crossplay here. PC is a very precise platform with the keyboard and mouse. Higher frame rates, better FOVs. I really hope console gets an FOV slider. I'm going to be very upset if it's not there. But a PC player doesn't have to worry about the limits of an analog stick, and a good PC player should be able, while you're hitting them with your gun, especially if you're using one of the more underpowered guns. There's always, high-powered weapons and low-powered weapons. And yeah, I'm sort of tweaking the analogy, the hypothetical scenario, so that it better fits my point of view and my argument. I know what I'm doing. But listen, if I'm using an assault rifle that takes 4 to 5 shots to kill, and I'm starting to hit somebody, and they're on mouse and keyboard, and they just swipe their mouse over to me and click on me, because I can't knock their sight off target, I'm going to be very upset. Anyone who says PC isn't a more precise platform with more precise aiming and way more advantages than console, you're lying to yourself. Yeah, a good player is good, a bad player is bad, no matter the platform, but snipers on PC are going to be very, very deadly. So this is where crossplay starts to piss me off a bit. No aim assist on snipers is a great balance, but it does not affect PC players. So I don't know, unless PC players also get some sort of nerf to their mouse when they're sniping, because technically console players get a nerf when they use a sniper rifle with their analog sticks. I'm sorry, I really don't know how they're going to justify this internally and how the community is going to handle it, because the sniper community is unfortunately full of a lot of people that believe because what they're doing took practice, it should be allowed and it should have zero limits on it. I agree that your sniping skill should be rewarded, but if I'm starting to shoot you first, do you really think you should be able to just swipe over to me and click? Or even with a controller, just as you're locking down a lane and you have your scope pointed down an alleyway, if I come around the corner and I start shooting you in the head, should you really be able to just put a single round between my eyes? I don't agree with that. Then there's the problem of good players in general. Let's see, I'm an above average player, and if I go up against a below average player, a 0.8 KD player, because these exist, even with skill-based matchmaking in Modern Warfare, I still end up in lobbies where usually half the enemy team is really good, and half the enemy team is kind of subpar. If the subpar person on the enemy team begins to shoot me, but their aim isn't as good as mine, they don't play the game as much, their muscle memory is not as good, even if they catch me off guard, because of my muscle memory, because of how much I'm probably going to be practicing the game and getting better at the game, is it going to be fair for them if they get the drop on me, but I don't have any flinch? So I can still just as easily pull my sight over to the person and take them out. Now I know it's Call of Duty, the time to kill isn't Halo. It's still going to be 300 milliseconds, you're still going to get killed really fast, especially when you put in the lag compensation, you mix in the weirdities that happen when you play online games. Your time to kill and time to die are never going to be perfectly consistent with one another. This is going to really punish bad players, which normally I'd be all for, but there's a problem where a lot of times a bad player kind of relies on the element of surprise. They rely on the ability to get the drop on somebody, and while they'll still be rewarded for getting the drop on somebody, good players are going to wreck shop. Because if a bad player is inconsistent with their aim and they miss one shot during the gunfight, the better player, especially if the better player is using a more overpowered weapon, which I know is sort of manipulating the hypothetical to make my point, but you know what I mean, it happens. You try to play Modern Warfare online and you want to use a Scar H and there's some sweaty tryhard of the Damascus MP5 on the enemy team, that happens, right? So imagine Modern Warfare, but with zero flinch, a longer time to kill, and you go up against that sweaty Damascus level player that's just eating the game for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's going to be very hard to take them off their streak. Oh, and a little bit off topic here, you can't take them off their streak. If somebody is one kill away from a chopper gunner in Black Ops Cold War and you kill them, your buzzkill means jack shit. Unless you're towards the end of the game where the person's gonna run out of time to call it in, that person, because they're so good, they're gonna come back and they're gonna get that fucking chopper gunner. So I don't know if I like this system. I'm all for punishing noobs and encouraging people to get better, and yes, I'll fully admit that Modern Warfare has some mechanics that seem to want to cater towards noobs. Some, but honestly, in my opinion, no more than any other fucking Call of Duty game. I mean, specialist weapons existed, body armor existed, hello? Anyone else play Modern Warfare Remastered and get tired of finding that dude camping in the corner with a fucking Juggernaut perk? No one? Okay, whatever. I guess I'm alone in that. NoobTubes, Modern Warfare 2, anyone? And look, what I'm saying is, I think this is gonna be a very rough Call of Duty game, because killing a good player with a longer time to kill and no flinch is going to be harder, because you can't knock them off target because you were faster. Even being faster, they can react during the gunfight and potentially, at the very least, bring you down to one shot, which is kinda scary when you think about it. But of course, I'm painting hypotheticals about a game I haven't played. I'm just going off the gameplay I've seen and the videos I've watched about the game. As for my overall opinions, I like the idea of a longer time to kill to the body, a fast time to kill to the head, and no flinch. But I can see some holes forming, just like with the score streak system. I see holes forming, and that bothers me. The nice thing about a fast time to kill is that, yeah, the skill gap is shorter, and people have less time to react, and they want to play a little bit more conservatively. At least people are rewarded for the simple act of, I shoot first, I win, for the most part. And then if they miss after they shoot first, then they get fucked. Whereas this is going to be far more punishing. So really it's a level of degrees. Really the situations are going to be the same, but the degree in which you'll be punished is much higher. The consistency required is going to be much higher. And I don't know, I know one of my favorite things in Call of Duty is when a really good player approaches me in a gunfight and I take them out before they can react. and I get a buzzkill medal. And I feel like that's going to be missing. The time to kill is going to be longer. That person doesn't get flinched when I hit them. If they're on mouse and keyboard, they're going to have way more precision than I am if I decide to play on my Xbox. And even if I kill him one off his chopper gunner, he's still going to get that chopper gunner that game if he's that close to it. So honestly, when you start doing poorly, it really could like double down on itself when you start having a bad game. Good players are going to rule the roost, and it's going to be a game that I want to get better at because of this. I feel like it's really going to reward, good old-fashioned Twitch shooting fun. Why did I use an accent for that, actually? But I really like what I'm seeing here because we're seeing like a Twitch arena game that's going to reward skill, as well as be sort of varied and have this sort of sandbox nature with these larger, more complicated maps, vehicles, gunsmith. I'm really excited. I do actually want you guys to know Black Ops Cold War has some interesting shit going on, and I am excited to play it. I don't really have any of the complaints people have. It looks like a mobile game. No, it doesn't. It looks like it's going to cater towards noobs. Not at all. I really do think we have a cool Call of Duty coming up, and seeing how I have problems with every Call of Duty, I'm just hoping I have less problems with this one than I did with the last one. That's sort of the way I think about COD. Because I've sort of matured over the years, yeah, here I go about this again, every shooter's kind of bullshit, and I've really been accepting that. Doesn't mean I don't get frustrated and that frustrating things don't happen, that bad games don't piss me off, but my mentality around it's different. I think people make their frustration the game's problem way more often than they do themselves. We're always sort of passing the buck, and while sometimes it's fair to pass the buck, and we have to sort of analyze for ourselves when we're passing the buck and when we're sort of identifying the problem. And with Cold War, I'm excited to identify problems, not blame the mechanics. But I'm already finding holes, and I hope I'm wrong about them. But let me know what you guys think about Zero Flinch in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and I will see you when I see you. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Goodbye.